busted. Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin here with Entertaining Entropy, and you look fantastic today. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode. So it's been a while since I've been putting out regular episodes, and I apologize for anybody that recognized that. I want to put out quality content. I've been noticing that putting out videos week after week has started to cause me to just sort of squeeze for content just to try to meet that deadline. So I've sort of made a pledge to myself to try to focus more on quality as opposed to quantity. And I hope you guys can follow along with that. Where I also got distracted is I got pulled away by a company that hired me after watching some of my YouTube videos to do courses. If you guys leave comments, maybe I'll just sneak them to you for free, and I can leave a link to my courses if you guys wanted to support me. Anyway, for today's episode, what I'll be focusing on is the difference between coins and tokens. I know, I didn't think there was any difference, but I started to look more into it, and it's actually the difference between layer 1 and layer 2 on the blockchain. And before I get into that, there are other episodes on my channel that try to build on this fundamental understanding. And if you checked out those episodes, you might also see me talking about NFTs, augmented reality, the Metaverse, and even trading on the stock market. So lots of stuff that I like to cover. But if you wanted to see something else, leave me some comments or just say hello. I love engagement. But really focusing on today, the layer 1 and layer 2 tokens and coins that are involved in cryptocurrencies are essentially what is the fundamental code represented by layer 1, and then what is built on top of that, which is layer 2. So what it ends up being is an example of layer 1 would be Bitcoin, and then STX would be layer 2, something as an example that would be on top of Bitcoin. And so the idea of layer 1 is that fundamental sort of outline of the entire chain itself and all the functionalities that come within that. But layer 2 starts to add additional functionalities, in the case of Bitcoin for things that it didn't have access to in the past, decentralized finance and smart contracts, things like that. But it is also adding to efficiencies as well. So there's examples where blockchains are really slow, have started to have really high gas fees, and the layer 2 tokens can start to alleviate some of those inefficiencies to actually make it a lot easier. Alright, so let's go through some more examples. Bitcoin is a great example of layer 1. Another great example would be Ethereum. Ethereum is a great layer 1 coin, but it also has high gas fees. Some layer 2 coins that can go in conjunction with Bitcoin and Ethereum for Bitcoin would be Stacks, STX, and for Ethereum would be Polygon or Matic. Alright, so let's break down these plain examples. So with Bitcoin, what are the inefficiencies? It doesn't have the new features and functionalities that Ethereum does with smart contracts and with decentralized finance, and it also is a little bit slow, and it has some issues that Stacks is going to fix. So Stacks is able to sort of work in conjunction and in parallel with Bitcoin and sort of check in routinely to make sure that it's on track and in parallel, but it enables Bitcoin to have those functionalities to be able to have decentralized finance and smart contracts. Ethereum, on the other hand, has those types of functionalities, but what is it? Its major issue: large, heavy gas fees and slow transactions. So that's where Polygon comes in, and again, working on a layer 2, it's in conjunction with Ethereum. It's able to add functionality to have cheaper gas fees and to have faster transactions, because everybody's been waiting in line. There's so many people now on Ethereum, it's hard to get your order in, essentially. Now, looking at layer 1 and layer 2, you might start to say, what's beyond that? Well, I started to look, and there really is no layer 3 coin. Layer 3, as I started to pick it apart and think about it, is more like the application that's actually running and using and leveraging these types of currencies and blockchains. And then I kind of did a little bit more research in the opposite direction. Polkadot is going to claim that they're a layer 0. Up for debate in my eyes. Polkadot is basically saying that they're building, an ecosystem to allow other chains, layer 1 chains, to be built on top of that. But by the definitions of layer 1 and layer 2 coins, it starts to get muddy. Why is this important? Well, when you're looking at layer 2 coins, there are so many of them that are out there today. So you would say, wow, Ethereum's great, and look, this project's associated with Ethereum. Well, there's like thousands of altcoins, as they're called, layer 2 coins that have been built on top of these different types of base coins that have been put into the system. So looking at the top 10 coins on a website called CoinGecko that I will reference a number of times, we're able to see the ones that have the top market cap, and thereby I'm keeping safe to the coins that I know are sort of funded and have a lot of backing to them. Gives me a little bit more rigidity in my investments. So it's important to notice that layer 1 coins are building for layer 2. So layer 2 is a great coin. You find something, a project, an investment that's awesome, you gotta look at the underlying coin. So looking at something like DeFi land versus its underlying coin Solana, watching Solana and things that are happening to it really could have a ripple effect on DeFi land. So I have to make sure that keeping layer 2 coins in mind that I like, layer 1 coins that are building foundations for those layer 2 coins are also rigid as well. So I wanted to give some examples of the layer 1 coins and the layer 2 tokens. So layer 1 coins would represent things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, Dogecoin, and layer 2 tokens would represent Polygon or Matic, Stacks, DFL, DeFi land tokens, Gala, which is for Gala Games, and Mana, which is for Decentraland. So you can see how each side reflects a different sentiment, layer 1 coins being that underlying foundational sort of ecosystem, and then layer 2 is building off that ecosystem from layer 1 to give it either additional functionality, streamline it, fix some of the issues with it, or just build their own ecosystem that's leveraging the reference and the decentralization and the information that they're getting from layer 1. Layer 1 coins can actually be created in a couple of different ways, which I found was pretty cool. Not only just by being created as brand new projects that somebody comes up with to try to solve something or just do it on their own, but also you can see forks and copying of the chains happening as well. So a fork would actually represent something like Ethereum Classic and the Ethereum that we see today, where there was actually a point where a decision was made, I believe it was around gas fees or the payouts to miners, something to that effect, and a decision was made to actually split those blockchains and they went their separate ways. In the case of Bitcoin, there's also a similar sentiment where Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin that we know of today, I believe, are two different forks of what was an original coin. You'll also see copying of layer 1 coins happening as well to sort of create a new system as we've seen in the case of Dogecoin copying Litecoin. That's kind of funny. But in the case of Ethereum, Ethereum is actually open source, so a bunch of people have actually copied it. One example is Binance, one of the biggest exchanges that we know in cryptocurrency. So kind of funny how these types of currencies are able to be picked up and leveraged and referenced and sort of intermingling algorithms that are building off one another. Another thing that I wanted to mention about the coins and the layer 1 and layer 2 is that they are essentially making up their own ecosystems. And what I mean by that is the assets, NFTs, or cryptocurrencies that are held within those ecosystems, gauged within those different blockchains, are basically going to be subject to only transferring within that network. And so let's use an example like Solana, where I have DeFi land. I can actually go and change my DeFi land coins to any other altcoin on the Solana network. And that's pretty cool, and I'm liquid within that. I can make it into Solana, I can make it back into DeFi land or Run or the PUF, PUFF, other coins that are on the Solana blockchain, but I cannot change my Solana into Ethereum. What you need for that is something like an exchange, Coinbase, Binance. They let you do these types of things, and they're actually sort of giving you the equal value from one blockchain into another, but you're still not able to transfer assets. So fundamentally, if I bought an NFT on Solana or on a Cardano blockchain, I can only use that NFT on that blockchain. Well, that comes with an asterisk because there are blockchains that are trying to allow that type of transfer between the blockchains to build that idea of this one single network like the internet that's going to build into that metaverse ideology. And then when I own something, I can actually own it, and I can now take it with me through whatever game and environment that I want to be using it on. So that sort of intermingling and intercommunication is still missing, but it is something that we are hoping is coming in the future as we're really just getting started with this type of fundamentals and technology. Alright, so I've educated you guys on what the difference is between a layer 1 and a layer 2 coin and token, but you gotta watch out because I swear out there in the world people haven't quite figured it out yet. There's examples like ApeCoin, which is actually a token because ApeCoin is built on the Ethereum blockchain. Ha! Busted. Well, watch out for other things like this that might be sneaking around and make sure that they're not going to trick you into thinking that it is its own blockchain. Do your research, look what's the underlying coin. Again, it's going to affect it, so you want to make sure that you're paying attention to that. Well, if you liked what you saw in today's episode, I'm going to try to continue to get into more and more interesting stuff on future episodes. I'm thinking about releasing some review episodes on some of the things that I've been doing. A lot of these have been kind of educational format. So I bought a horse on Zed Run. I want to show how that works and the best strategies that I've found to sort of make money and to make that a cool thing to do, and how easy it was to get in. I got in for just 30 bucks. But I'll also be putting out a video on Townstar, which is a play-to-earn game off of Gala Games, which is one that is really kind of cool and gives you payouts every day, but does cost a lot to get into. So I'll give you the pros and cons of that particular environment, and then you'll probably hear me screaming about DeFi Land because they're coming out with their play-to-earn, and I have a chicken that I got a harvester, I got a fishing rod, I got a gun, I got all kinds of things that I'm going to get into, and I'll show you everything that I'm doing here on my channel. So I hope you have a wonderful week investing, and I'll catch you next time. Thank you.